Hey, Jeremy here from Long Speed Marine. Well, we're back on my C50 and today I'm going to be swapping out this front suspension crossmember for a newer square body style. So tag along and I'll show you how that's done. What I might recommend if you're going to be doing one of these C50 swaps is just go out and get a new chassis right from the start. I originally thought that this cab would bolt right onto these mounts, and I forgot that the nose is a lot shorter. So that was kind of a bummer, and that's again why I spent the money and I got this frame. It was a really nice frame, so that's why I continued on with it and just kept it because the frame, is, like I say, is really nice. It was really clean. It was a Southern frame. You can go back and watch those videos of cleaning up this frame and that. But what I honestly would recommend is if you got something from like a 96 Chevy dually, or if you wanted to run a Cummins in it, go and try and find a Dodge Cummins cabin chassis truck, something like that, depending on where you're going with this build. But yeah, I would honestly recommend just going to a complete newer chassis, because now I've gone and bolted in so that, well, it's not done yet, but the rear axle in this is a 96 Chevy dually rear axle, and then the front crossmember will be an 86. But by all means, hey, if you want to do it this way, it's still pretty cheap. I mean, the rear axle I got for like 300 bucks. The frame I got for 700 bucks with those other disc brake spindles, not realizing that they wouldn't work. And now this front crossmember with the steering box and everything, I got for another 400 bucks. So I'm probably still into this cheaper than I would have been if I had gone and gotten a new frame. But again, it's just a little bit of hassle swapping all this stuff out and whatnot and making it work. So where with a newer frame, you would have just slammed the cab on, made your own mounts, and away you go. So I'm going to stop talking and get into this. I'm going to show you on the two frames here what the differences are and how close they are. Like I said, it's going to bolt right in. I think there's one bolt hole, which I can't remember, but there's one bolt hole on this that's a little bit different. All right, so here's our crossmember. So like I said, everything just bolts right in. So I'll take these motor mounts out. There's bolts here where the control arms go, and then these bolts here underneath just bolt up from underneath, and that's pretty much it. So we'll unbolt all of these ones in here. We'll unbolt the shocks, of course. Take the steering box off because that's junk anyways. And then this whole front crossmember will drop right out. So you can see here where the motor mount bolts are, and it comes down to this front hole. You can see on our frame here, there's that same bolt. The front bolt hole here is basically the same bolt that's on that other frame. So again, all these bolts in here, they're all pretty much the same, and it might just be one of these back ones here that's a little bit different. So we'll get into that, popping all these bolts off, and we'll get back to you once that's all done. We're almost done. So pulled the motor mounts off just so it was easier to get at the bolts in behind. Don't really have to because obviously they stay with the frame, but pulled them off anyways. So 3 bolts across there, unbolt the shocks, the steering box, the idler arm, which again, all this stuff is just going to bolt back up and should just bolt. Even the other idler arm should bolt right in the same spot. So shocks are off, 3 bolts on the inside, and now all I've got left are these top 2 bolts here, just on this right here. Those ones on the inside, these 2 on the top, and then this cross member should, I'm hoping, that I've got everything out, and then this cross member should just drop right out, and we'll get to pulling the other one apart. All right, so there we go. That was pretty easy. Pulled that right out, and now I'm just gonna work on stripping this one apart, do the exact same thing, and we'll catch you when I'm ready to bolt this sucker back in. So front end is ready to go in. So this is the square body front end. Just got it cleaned up quick. I'll worry about cleaning the rest of it up and painting it as I move along with this truck in the future. For now, like I said, I just want to get this thing in here so that it will steer and I can move it around when I get it outside. So yes, I will need to drill extra holes. I couldn't remember exactly which one it was, but so it's going to be in the front here. And so these stiffening plates, I think these are actually on like the 72 trucks, the newer 71, maybe 72, 1 ton, 3/4 ton. Anyways, they, because I remember having to swap these over the last time I did this. So this one upper hole here basically doesn't line up, so I'll just have to drill that one hole. And then if I cared about really bolting this thing in, this hole right here is off. So I could go ahead and drill another hole at the top to mount this bracket on. So we'll see as we go along what I'm thinking about that. This one here looks, this one here might just need to be opened up a little bit. So that one's just off a touch, this front one. So I'll just run the drill bit through that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bolt this plate in on both sides just as it is to hold it steady, and then drill this hole, drill out this hole, do the same on the other side, and then I'll decide. I probably will drill this one out just to run a bolt through the top of there. All right, so got my holes drilled. A little bit of a struggle there with drill bits, of course, around here. I mean, drill bits are, I don't know. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and get my hardware cleaned up. So I'm going to clean up a bunch of the factory hardware from the 86 because that stuff is pretty great. So I'm going to use those, and I'll see you back in a second. All right, so I'm ready to wrestle this thing up into place and fight with it. I should have put the other wheel on before, but I didn't. Anyways, I'm going to do my best to fight this thing and get it up in here. We'll see how this goes. There we go. Okay, more up. Up. It is up. Oh, we're there. Okay. Beauties. All right, let's get some bolts in. I think these guys for the steering box. And what are these for? Steering box. This one's for there. Should have another one that looks like that. Yes. Oh, I should have 4 of these. I only have 2. Okay. I've got to pull this back out. I just need to open up these other front holes a little bit. It just doesn't line up quite right. They're the only holes in this whole thing that are actually threaded, are these bottom holes here. So the side bottom holes are actually threaded, so you got to get those pretty precise. And they're just, that thread is just, that hole is just sitting a bit too high, so I've got to open up this hole in the frame rail a little bit, bring it up a little bit more, which isn't a big deal, just run a drill bit through it. But of course, now I've got this all lined up, I got to drop it back out. So we got all those back in. Like I said, these ones are tricky because they're the only ones that are threaded. They got to line up perfect, of course. So those ones are in. We're lined up here. I can see already that we're lined up on top. So I'm just going to go ahead and start bolting all this stuff together. Now I'm going to show you. I may not put these motor mounts back in, but here we are. Okay, so the hole's not, it's right there where the hole would be. Oh, there it is. It was just covered in dirt. That's funny. I knew there had to be a hole there. So you want to use the original mounts, you can. There it is there. I'm not going to put these back in for now because who knows what's going to happen with this. Maybe it's going to get an LS. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm not going to bother with putting those back in. I'm just going to carry on bolting these back in, and then I got to get the steering box up into place. But I want to have these solid first and get the idler arm and the steering box up into place, and then we'll carry on with that. So I'll be right back. There it is. So 86 square body suspension, disc brakes, crossmember, whatever you want to call it, bolted into the 70s whatever, GM frame, truck frame. So this, again, this all goes the same if you got a 1/2 ton, 3/4 ton, 1 ton. They're all pretty much the same. They're all pretty much, I think you're going to all have to drill those extra holes out. I had to open up the other bottom holes down there on both sides. I had to open up these Bottom holes a little bit. It was a little bit finicky getting those in, but other than that, it's all bolted in. As you can see, my steering all bolted up good. So my idler arm bolted up, my steering box bolted up. So all that is all going to work because, like I said, it's all in the same spot as it was in the Square Body. So everything is everything's good. So now I can steer. I have steering, see? So everything works there, steering. So now I can get this thing pushed outside and out of my way. Well, there you go. Like I said, there's a newer style crossmember in the older GM truck, which will allow you to have disc brakes in there. Another thing that's good to remember is to grab the proportioning valve from that. So that was bolted on the front crossmember of the other truck. I'm not sure where I'll put it on this one. I might put it on the frame, or when I put the master cylinder in, I may just hang it right underneath the master cylinder. I sometimes just like that. It's nice and clean up there. So again, I'm not sure exactly what motor I'm going to run in this. I don't even know if I'm going to finish this project, to be honest. I may just pass it off onto someone else, but now I can at least get it out. Now that it's rolling this way, I can steer it and tuck it underneath somewhere without messing around with the tractor too much, because that was a bit of a hassle. So hey, thanks for tagging along on this one. Follow along with all my other builds. Make sure you hit that subscribe, smash the like, leave me a comment on what you think about this and any of my other builds. Thanks very much and take care.